Jai Mataji and welcome listeners. Today we will continue the exciting discussion on how we need to prepare the body. And this is a discussion that we've been going over in 2 episodes. Quick summary, in the previous episode, we spoke about the art of taking care of the body and spoke about hygiene, sleeping, resting, and incorporating physical activity in our day-to-day lives. Today we'll be exploring new areas pertaining to preparing the body. But before we get started, just a reminder, we're working towards a goal to connect with God and express God in the body. We say that God is in everything and everyone. So when God expresses himself through emotions, we feel that as love. When God expresses himself in creation, we see this as power. And when God expresses himself in the body, we see this as beauty and harmony. So in preparing our body, what we need to be constantly thinking about is how we can express beauty as best as we can and keep every part of the body working together and properly. When we think about beauty, the first thing that will come to mind is physical appearance. And then people will say, well, but beauty is subjective. And often we see that there are many things people don't like about their body. They don't like their hair, they don't like their weight, and people will spend years just being unhappy about them, and they will put in all their efforts to try and change them. One thing we need to be realizing is we don't need to change our physical body just so somebody thinks of us as beautiful. Because we're beautiful to begin with. And to understand what it means to express beauty, first we need to understand why God has given us a body. You see, it is because we have this body that we can have thoughts, we can have feelings, and we can actually conduct some actions. So take this time and say thank you to God for having this body. Now think about how you can use this body to express beauty. So reflect on the words that you speak. Are you using polite words or are you using rude words? Reflect on what actions you're using your body for. Are you using your body to hurt people? Or are you actually using your body to help people? Take a closer look at your actions. Are you using this body to increase the consciousness in the society? Or are you use this body to spread more negativity and gossip and try to break, families, for example? Take a look at the clothes that you're wearing. Are you wearing the clothes that you are just to please others? Or are you wearing the clothes to express yourself in beautiful ways without having intentions of receiving compliments? You see, that's how we need to start thinking about using our body to express beauty. And this beauty is not just limited to physical appearance. So we have this body, and we want to use this body to express God's beauty. But as part of this experience, what we will have is falling ill. I haven't yet met a person who's never fallen ill. Most people I've met have always fallen sick. And so this isn't something that is uncommon. But what is very common is that when people fall sick, they will go to see the doctor right away. Now, Mother says that every part of the body represents a movement within us. When we fall sick or we're ill, the place that is affected by this illness tells us of where the disharmony has taken place. And if we want to be able to heal that, we first need to understand what the symptoms are, really identify what was the cause of these symptoms, and then work towards establishing an harmony. And harmony can be brought back by being open to Mother's light. And so this is why children and adults must learn to pay attention to their body. I want to share a finding that was done through past life regression analysis as well as therapy analysis. And these analyses have been done by Louise Hay and Dolores Cannon. Now, we know that diabetes affects a lot of South Asian people. And according to their work, they've shown that diabetes just happens because of a loss of sweetness in a person's life. And if that person is able to address what caused that loss of sweetness, then they're able to restore the diabetes. But let's take a look at life today. We're always running around. We never want to pause to listen to our thoughts, and we never want to listen to our body. I myself was this way. I'd keep on working, 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 as though if I didn't work, that the whole world was going to come to an end. And even if I was tired, I didn't see a reason to take a break. But eventually, when I fall sick, and at that point have absolutely no energy to do anything, then all of a sudden I will be able to take a break because now I'm forced to. And now the world continues without me as well too. You see, the problem is that we wait for these extreme situations to happen to us and then we are forced to listen. But what we should be doing is learn to listen to the body early on. So if I'm feeling tired, I need to take a break. I need to think about why I'm feeling tired and see if I can change it. I want to share something in my personal experience that affected me for several years. And this happened when I was doing my graduate studies. I was diagnosed with IBS. And for those of you who either know a person living with IBS or have experienced this for yourself, it is extremely difficult to live on a day-to-day basis with a condition like this. And so I went through a lot of diet changes and I went through a lot of tests with the doctors. And one day the doctor came to me and said, "Honey, you just need to reduce the stress in your life. There is no medication that's going to work for you." And I thought about this, and he was right. I was extremely stressed at that point, and it was the stress that was triggering it. And I took that lesson in my life. And I started noticing trends that every time I'm stressed, I will have an IBS episode. But on a routine basis, I'm perfectly fine. And you see, that's the case with all of us. Our body is giving us a lot of messages, but we're not listening. And so what we do is we rush to the doctor for solutions, thinking that they're going to know more about our body and our emotions. But in reality, if we start incorporating just a habit of observing ourselves and understanding ourselves, we will know what we need to bring back good health. So make it a daily practice. Observe your diet, observe your emotions, observe your actions, observe your lifestyle, and see the connection with your body. The body is a servant to the mind, and there's a very strong connection between the body and the mind. So another thing to keep in mind is how you respond when something happens in the body. Sri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the mind is very powerful, and it can be your friend and it can be your enemy. Now let's learn from this example of how somebody used their mind as their friend. Lance Armstrong, the professional cyclist, was diagnosed with cancers, and doctors had only given him less than 40% survival chance. Now, he underwent a lot of aggressive treatments and surgeries, but in the entire process, he had a positive attitude. And it is because of this attitude that not only did he recover, but he also made a strong comeback and he won the Tour de France 7 consecutive times. Now think about what your mindset is in difficult situations. When something is wrong in our life, our mind does a fabulous job to think about the worst possible situation. So say, for example, if the doctor told you you have cancer, it is going to be very natural that your mind is first going to tell you that you are going to die. And if you continue having this thought in your mind, then your body is slowly going to start listening. So change the talk, change the mindset, and have faith that your body has powers to heal itself. The body can be very receptive to mother's light when it comes to healing, and have faith that any illness or disorder that you have is only going to be temporary because mother's light can cure it all. At this moment, I'm remembering a few sentences that I had heard from Dolores Cannon, and these sentences resonate with Mother and Sri Aurobindo's words. So what I'd like to do is just read it out to you. Dolores Cannon says, "You make yourself sick. If the mind is powerful enough to make yourself sick, it is also powerful enough to heal you. First, we got to find out why. Why did you do this to yourself? What were you trying to tell yourself? You're not supposed to ever be sick. Never. The body is a miraculous machine, and it's been created to take care of itself and heal itself if you don't interfere. And Mother suggested that every time you have a disorder in the body, take a look at it in a very objective approach. Tackle it at the physical level. So make changes. See what's working and see what's not working. If it's not being changed at the physical level, go within. Find out what within you is causing this disorder at the physical level. We haven't realized, but our bodies are really plastic. We've always thought of our body as being rigid. We need to change how we see our bodies. We don't know a lot about our bodies, and this is exactly why we have debt. How we see our body depends on our consciousness or awareness. So if you see your body from a very ordinary consciousness, then you're going to try and deal with a physical body by addressing physical processes. But we got to remember that once we're connected to the supramental force, this body is going to change, because this body is going to express higher capacities which we cannot even understand today. And even though this transformation is going to take a while, we need to understand that our body is going to be able to do it. So don't ever think that your body is good for nothing. Always think about how you can get your body even more perfect every time. I want to share something which Sri Aurobindo said. We have chakras in the body, and these chakras are energy centers. Now, Sri Aurobindo spoke of making the flow in these chakras so perfect that a day is going to come when just that energy flow will be sufficient to replace the organs. Now, is that possible today? No. Can we even think about what human beings would be like in that? Today? No, we can't. But everything is possible because God is limitless. And when God is limitless, His manifestations in this physical body are also going to be limitless. And so with that, we also need to start thinking of all the limitless possibilities we can have with this body. And with that, we're at the end of today's section. Just to summarize, today we discussed about healing the body. We discussed about having faith in the body's healing powers and learning to think of this body as very plastic and expressing qualities which we can't even imagine today. In the next episode, we will move on to preparing the vital. So see you next time. Jai Mataji.